Okay, good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of the December 8th, 2021 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Hello, Phil.
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Good.
Good. All right, let's see. Under communication report, we've got the monthly operating report for December 2021.
So as normal, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask. We averaged 3 million gallons a day. The BOD and the TSS were both 97.5 removal efficiencies. Total nitrogen removal was almost 87%. Put us 57 pounds under the limit. Cake solids were 20.6, and the daily effluent phosphorus was 2.18 milligrams per liter.
Now, for the phosphorus.
Yep.
Do the state actually have permit limits?
So our permit limit for FOS is April 1st to October 31st. So we still track it all year, but as of Halloween, basically, we shut the pack system off, and the fermentation tank that we made, we shut the half off that we use for phosphorus. So right now we're using the fermentation tank just for D-night. Yeah, I'm very happy with them.
All right. Okay, then we've got our engineer report dated December 2021.
Don't know who this is. Can you hear? Oh, Jennifer?
Uh-huh.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Hello, Jennifer. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you guys.
So for pump station repairs, Harlan All-State Pump Stations, we met with Kinsley at the stations to go over the quotes for the generator upgrades. I think we discussed that last month too. They're both 50 years old. So we're looking to upgrade the generators. The transfer switches were already done. We're looking to do this upcoming fall and winter. Oakland Gardens, we pulled and inspected pump 1. We ordered a new pump. Basically, the pump there was 26, 27 years old. So we just noted the clearances were decreasing and ordered a new one. We're going to have this one rebuilt for a spare. Corporate Park, we started a new motor saver, and we also put on voltage meter to maintain and check everything. Tungus Pump Station, we responded to a fault, reset it, but there was no issues. Pump stations and collection systems. I attached the pictures for this one. Let me just bring this up. So I know we touched on it the last meeting too. The storms over the summer literally kind of carved out part of the right of way where our sewer line goes. And that was the old canal trail. So I took like 2 pictures. You can kind of see this was October when it first kind of started getting really bad, and you can see the 2 guys on top to give you an idea of the actual size of it. So that's a collection, not a collection system, a storm drain. But to put in perspective, if you can see the line on the soil behind it, our sewer pipe's only about 4 feet behind that. So we had to fix it because we kind of had an issue. If it kept inching away, it would probably expose the whole sewer line. So they ended up basically putting a ton of triaxles of trap rock. They got a new basin in there, and it's basically going out into the river. We leveled everything. We had to take all the tops off the manholes. We had steel plates on top so they could drive down the truck and the loaders. But it came out good right before it got really, really cold out. So we finished this right before Christmas.
Remember how many yards of material you put in there?
It's over 300. I want to say it was like 370, 380. It's quite a bit. I mean, the hole was bigger than this room. So.
Yeah, that's like
I'm seeing them going down there to bring in the material and work on it.
Yeah, because you're right on the street, right? So you
Yeah, I
probably,
can see him driving with the gator down the street and right down the,
that was
side
probably
road.
in the gator a couple of times too. So, yeah, they did a good job though. We just wanted to make sure it didn't pull any other soil out and then erode the whole bank where the line was. That was our primary concern.
So you think this is a semi-permanent fix, or you think we're gonna have other?
Yeah, I mean, so I spoke with Russ too. I think it's a pretty permanent fix. The only thing I could see happening is where you see like the hay where the grass will be on top. Like that heavy rain might slide down, so we may put more trap rock, but it's not gonna expose anything underneath. Yeah, so I think we'll be in good shape.
Attempt to establish any tree growth or anything else to hold the soil?
I don't know if they're gonna plant any. I know we took some of the big tulip tree. There's a huge tulip tree on the right, but the problem was all the root balls were all popping and giving way to more. But I'm sure we're gonna plant something. I know grass and erosion in the spring, once we can grow, we'll do that. So try to at least hold it as best together as we can. We flushed and cleaned the drains of the highway garage. We continued to work on right of ways as the weather permitted. Sometimes it's easier in the winter because you don't have all the foliage. Repairs and maintenance at the treatment plant. We began to pull and inspect all the UVs. We basically go through all the bulbs, ballasts, and wipers. So it's 6 banks total, 36 racks. Then we put it back on April 1st, and that's also when phosphorus season restarts. We installed new O-rings on pack tank number 1. We pulled the watering feed pump in preparation for the new Borger pump. This should be here next week. I don't want to jinx us, but they're saying it's shipping tomorrow. So that should give us increased watering capacity. We installed a new Lmi pump in the effluent pump chamber. It helps us dose Aquabacter, it's a naturally occurring bacteria. But sometimes in the winter when we don't have the UVs on, we get like the little midge flies, but they're annoying. It's the cleanest building in the plant. So why we get them there is beyond us, but this helps to just dose it. We inspected the primaries 2 and 3, drained and cleaned them. And we reset fault of the watering press, but there is no issues found with it. For plant upgrades, let's go to the graphs. So I gave you guys a bunch of graphs to look at. Let me just spin this around. So when we originally made the fermentation tank, we were doing it for denitrogen. The upgrade was designed for 6 to 8 milligrams a liter on the actual nitrogen numbers. For us to meet the 178 pound day permit, we ideally need to be at 5 or 6. So we needed to kind of do something to get us lower. So we made the fermentation tank, and indirectly with the more food, it actually helps with the biological phosphorus removal too. So these numbers on the left are in the tens of thousands. So 2017, 18, 19, 20, we were averaging about 60, I think it was 68,000 over the 4 years. Some years we were above 80,000. This year we spent 22,000, 10,000 is still in the tank. So
just again for Phil.
Yep.
So basically, we're talking about the credits.
This is separate. So this is like a whole nother cost, which is good. And then the credits right after. So we were spending money on chemicals to remove phosphorus.
Yeah.
So you add a chemical, it adheres to the solids. And then when you dewater, you basically remove the phosphorus in the solids. So we were spending, in 2018, $85,000 on chemical. This year, if you subtract what's still in the tank now, we spent probably 8 to 10,000. So we're saving about, I'd say, a solid 50 to 60,000 a year on chemicals. And it might be more next year. And in terms of the D-nite for nitrogen.
Basically with the chemical, that's sort of an average for year round. In other words, because I know it varies with the temperature.
Yep. So we were spending on average, like I'd say 60 to 80,000 a year. And right now we're looking at about 10,000. So this was the phosphorus, the costs versus the actual numbers we were getting and the permits. So you can see even in 2019, our permit dropped pretty substantially, but the costs on the left side, you can still see we're still going down while the permit was dropping. So we're pretty happy with how that tank's actually performing. So this one, I'll spin this. These were, I had this going back all the way to 2002, but it was just way too much boring data. So this just, when we figure out the nitrogen credits, the state basically gives you a credit. They set it based on a couple different factors, but like you can see the EQ factor, the credits, and then this is how much we paid. So going back to 2014, we were paying 50, 91, 40, 60, almost 100. This year, we're actually going to receive a credit. So when we put the fermentation tank online, I highlighted all the months that we were under permit. And I mean, you can see it's pretty clear that there's a huge difference with it. So this is the first year we'll be getting money back, which is good. And then if you look at like January for all the years past, we were always way above 200. You're 400, you're 360. As of right now, this January, we're averaging like 170. So we should have a even larger credit. I don't want to jinx this, but it looks pretty good as of now. And this graph basically just shows the blue is your permit limit. And I just did a trend line so you can see it's steadily been going down. It used to be 380 pounds a day. That's over double than what we have now. And then the top one is your actual nitrogen results we're getting. And you can see like this is the first year we kind of intercepted the permit. So like there's a few years you can see where it was low, but you got to remember in relative to the permit, it was probably 100 pounds higher. So this is good news. So we're going to keep that tank going for sure. I think.
Mark, does that limit continue to change or what causes the change?
So the state looks at a bunch of factors. There was a huge study, I want to say the early 2000s before I was even in the field. And they had a picture, I'll actually submit it for next meeting. They had a picture of Long Island Sound and they showed like the DO levels all the way from, Montauk, New York, all the way down to New York City. And basically New York City was anaerobic. There was no oxygen in the water. So they looked at how much you were putting into the Long Island Sound from your plant in terms of pounds and how much you were contributing. And that's kind of how they started these permits.
And how close to the sound.
And that's what I was just gonna say, how close you are. So typically the closer you are, the tighter your permit's gonna be. We actually have a pretty tight permit here because the Farmington Rivers, it's considered, it was pretty high on the scale. So with all the fishing and the outdoor activities, they want it to be pretty clean. So that's pretty much how they assign the permits. And then they basically look at the data around the state. If they have a really wet year where they know a lot of the plants can't make the permit, they might decrease it. But I haven't seen that. I mean, you can see it's kind of been flatlined for about 6-7 years.
I mean, there was some talk about doing away with the credit, right?
There was, I see that coming eventually. What some plants do and we haven't done here yet is they'll put in, $80 million for like an upgrade like we did. And they'll sell $500,000, $500,000 in credits a year. It looks great on paper, but the payback for $80 million, your plant's got to have no maintenance for almost 100 years. And it's just never going to happen. So there is a balance with it. And then if you're adding chemicals to get it like a carbon, like a methanol, a glycol, and ethanol, obviously that adds up too. So if you can do it like this and kind of balance it, it works out well. I don't know if that answered your question, Phil.
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, we're going to keep this online and then continue running it the same way. Hopefully next year we'll see it another 20 pounds lower. All right.
Mentioned anything to talk about there?
Let's see, just Tanbark Trail, the fee was collected. Fee was collected also at Tanbark, Red Oak Hill Road, and Westgate Road. That was basically it. The only other thing we had was to have that thing signed. I think that's next on the agenda though, right? Oh, it's after the budget anyway, so we can go over that first if you want.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so we,
Motion for the levy of the connecting charge, system 162 River Road.
Yeah, so
You want to explain that one, or you just want us to? vote on it?
yeah, no, I'm just writing it. Sorry, 1 second. So River Road, we just need a physical copy, not a PDF. So we'll re-sign it and I'll resubmit it to tax. And then we'll be set. So pretty much that's all we have to do. We just need a physical copy for me to bring down. They wanted one that was hand signed. I couldn't print it up, so we'll get that
But
signed.
Now, with that, are you talking about the old one or the new one?
The new one, the old one, they wanted hand signed too, but this one, we just, nothing changed. We just have to make sure it's received this time. Let me just turn the page to get there. So I had Phil on as a secretary to sign it, but I don't know if we could have anybody present sign.
Yeah.
And then I can just change the name and, okay.
To approve that connection,
Yes.
Evan made a motion, or second. Okay, motion and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
Aye.
So that's the connection charge. $12,106.22.
Correct.
We'll talk about the budget.
Yep, so if you guys have any questions, just stop me. So we went through the budget, we had some decreases. Thanks, Kevin. So basically, it's looking like probably a 1% or no raise. I'll just go over the major differences we had this year, some of which we covered. So we had one operator retire. It was a higher pay rate, so we do have some cost savings on the lines in the stations. For the chemical costs, we don't have any hypo, sodium hydroxide. I'm conservative on all of these, so these could probably be a little lower as well. Sodium hydroxide has decreased.
Mark, if you could point out where you're reading that from.
Yeah, let me- So we're right under chemicals here. Sodium hypochlorite, we're at 0. Sodium hydroxide, you can see here, we're 2,500 down from 10,000. Polymer, we're down to 60,000 from 65 and 80. And PAC, this can probably be closer to 5 and 10. I'm going conservative on the numbers to start. The other major one is going to be for professional services. We have the nitrogen credits we used to have from the state. We're 50,000 a year. I have 10,000 in here. I think that could be a little lower as well. But again, we're just going a little conservative on it. The only thing that went up a little bit was electricity and fuel oil. And that was only 4%. Let me just get to that. Yeah, so this went up 4%, and the fuel oil and the water went up just a little bit, but it wasn't anything substantial. We've seen higher increases in the past. Hopefully it stays around there. And for capital expenditures, we broke this down. It's similar to last year, except we added a line item for generators. So these were for Harlan and Allstate, which they're both 50-year-old generators. So we want to replace them within the next 2 to 3 years, 1 to 2 years. So hopefully we'll do one a year at about 50,000.
Each, right?
Yeah, we were looking at Tunxus. We got a quote that was 74,000, but it included the transfer switch and all the equipment for the ATS. But we replaced the transfer switches a couple of years ago, so we can probably get these quotes probably pretty close to 50. Then we can just do those stations. At that point, we should be good, barring any catastrophic failures. So basically, we're looking at a difference of about $43,000 a year. And there is some room to cut. So as we were discussing previous, it's either 1% or basically no increase.
So Phil and Jennifer, we had actually talked a little bit about this before the meeting, but it could go either way. Basically, we were considering having a flat, no change in rates, just because the town's gonna be looking to increase the budget on other areas. And Mark has a high level of confidence here that he can tweak this a little tighter if we need to stay within current budget.
And we're so close now anyways, it's not like, I mean, I think we can make it work.
Any comments?
Yeah, I'll just express one concern I have, and that's in my day job right now, I'm finding a lot of difficulties finding materials and services for what they used to cost. Things like a transfer switch or parts to a generator are all up quite a bit. So I'm concerned that just in the year coming up, we might see these be a little higher than expected.
So a lot of it, and I agree with you, Phil, 100%. A lot of the critical spares we have on site. It's certainly not to say that we won't need more. Our issue that we're seeing is some cost, but a lot of it is just availability. If you remember that Patrick flood the force main we had, I just waited 12 weeks to get 2 couplers, 14-inch. So it is hard getting the stuff. The prices, I agree with you though, some of them are increasing too.
I would say, I don't have any figure in mind here, but the vast majority of this is payroll and those types of costs.
Yeah, let me I'll break it down right
It's
here.
not a lot of
So I mean,
materials, equipment.
no, I mean your payroll's $1 million basically. So that's 25% of your budget right there. And a lot of it is, we have like the sludge haulers, that's 300, the electricity is 400. So now you're almost at $2 million right there. So there is quite a bit that goes into that.
The sludge haulers, do we have them under a contract or how do we?
Yeah, I think they have another year left. I'd like to renew them because they're good. I mean, I know when we signed with them, they were substantially cheaper than the other companies. So
they're already locked in for 2022.
yeah.
But in other words, you've gone over this, you've adjusted from previous years, this year.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a lot of our budget, other than payroll, it's pretty consistent, plus or minus, like the professional services, electricity, power and stuff. Barring, like I said, any major issues like we had at West Farms or something with the river. But we have any stuff like that, we have a lot in capital that we can use. So.
And that's actually the fund balance. Do we have a figure where we have?
Let's see, I don't.
I don't think that was on here.
No, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I did either. And it's not on the revenue. The rate increase either, right? No.
We haven't seen that number in a while.
No, there's a good amount in there. Russ will know the specific number. I can get it tomorrow as well.
Now, as far as the revenue goes, I mean, is that pretty much flat? I mean, you don't see that very year to year very much. Right?
No,
Other
but
than connection charges.
yeah, and when we generate these two, I mean, like, these are conservative also. So we always come in a little higher. So again, it's like there's room there as well. So,
Get these other towns contributing their fair share to.
correct.
So do you need to do any more work on this, or?
I'll probably make just a couple minor tweaks this week and
Why
then.
don't you go over this schedule as far as what we talked about earlier, as far as the.
Yep, so we just go through this tonight just to say if we want to remain at a 0% increase or if we have to increase it, depending on what the budget is showing. And we go over with the board in January, February, we approve it. And then in March, we publicly put it in the Hartford Current in the paper. And that's the schedule I think we've always had, right? So, yeah, if this looks good, we'll go back in, we'll just tweak it a little bit and then we'll approve it next month.
Phil or Jennifer, any more questions on anything? Because I know we look at these once a year here and it's a lot of numbers.
No, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, very good.
None here either, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Let's see, you have the Patterson Pump, we're gonna take that off, I guess, right?
That would be off next month. Just cross that for now.
Any other business?
This is a very minor, like, practical thing, but if it's possible for next month to have the Zoom link shared in like the email itself, for some reason I can't like get into the video Zoom through a PDF.
Yeah, I can send it to you, Jennifer. I know it came up once before and the only issue was when I scanned it to PDF, it wasn't obviously sending a link. So I'll just email it to you or the board separate and we can do that.
I won't be offended if you are taking advantage of this fact too. That's fine too.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem.
Okay, so Mark, no new business.
Nope.
We didn't talk about Avon or anything new as far as the intertown agreements or any of that, the same.
Basically same old, nothing's changed.
Okay. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is
Aye.
carried. Thank you.
Thank you.